The launch of the PS5 was a pretty wild time. There was huge pressure on Sony to prove that this giant white tower was actually worth the investment. Interestingly enough, they didn't lead with a God of War sequel or some new IP. Instead, they handed the keys to Miles Morales. As you're watching this footage, which is all from the first hour, so don't worry about spoilers, you can really see why this was such a calculated move. It was the perfect mix of technical showboating and smart business. If Sony had tried to rush out a full-blown Spider-Man 2 for day one, it probably would have been a buggy mess or lacked that signature Insomniac polish. By going with a standalone expansion, similar to what Naughty Dog did with The Lost Legacy, they found a sweet spot. They could build something that felt brand new and high quality, but on a more manageable scale. It allowed them to hit that launch deadline with a game polished to a mirror finish. For us, it meant a tight, focused experience right when we were unboxing the console. But beyond the development timeline, Miles Morales was built to be a tech showcase. Think back to the first time you saw those ray-traced reflections. Because the game is set in winter, the world is covered in ice, puddles, and glass skyscrapers. This was essentially Insomniac flexing the hardware. Even in this first hour of gameplay, you can see how that golden hour sunlight hits the snow and the suit textures. It's a visual feast that made that $500 price tag feel justified instantly. Then there's the SSD. At launch, the idea of near-zero loading screens was a revolutionary, and Miles was the poster child for it. Moving from street level into the subway or fast traveling across the city happened so fast it felt like magic compared to the loading bars on the PS4. We also can't forget the DualSense. This was one of the first games to really use those adaptive triggers to give you resistance when swinging on a web, or that specific haptic feedback when Miles uses his Venom powers. It made the gameplay feel tactile in a way that words don't really do justice. Beyond the tech, there was a huge cultural factor. Sony knew Miles was having a massive moment. Between Into the Spider-Verse and his growing popularity in the comics, Miles had become a symbol for a younger generation of fans. By making him the face of the PS5 launch, Sony sent a clear message. This console is the future. It felt fresh, inclusive, and different from the Peter Parker stories we'd been playing for decades. It gave the console an identity that was vibrant and modern right out of the gate. From a business perspective, Sony was also being realistic about the transition. They knew not everyone would find a PS5 on day one. Remember how hard those were to track down? By making this a cross-gen title, they ensured the millions of people still on PS4 could buy the game, while offering a free upgrade for whenever they finally made the jump. It guaranteed huge sales, while still giving early adopters a reason to feel special, since their version looked and played significantly better. By offering the Ultimate Edition that included Spider-Man Remastered, Sony gave new owners an insane amount of content. If you were new to the ecosystem, you suddenly had two of the best superhero games ever made, both optimized for your new machine. It felt like a win for the fans. So when you look at this first hour of gameplay, you're not just seeing a fun superhero game, you're seeing a very smart strategy in action. Sony chose Miles because he was the perfect bridge between eras. He provided the visual wow factor, the technical speed, and the emotional hook a launch needs. Even now, playing this through PS Plus, the game hasn't lost any of its charm. It remains one of the most intentional and beautiful experiences on the platform. It makes you wonder, if Sony hadn't picked Miles to lead the charge, would the PS5 have felt quite as next-gen on day one? Personally, I don't think so. But I want to hear what you think. Did you pick this up on launch day, or are you just getting to it now through PS Plus? Does it still hold up as a tech showcase for you? Let's talk about it in the comments.